Let me move it to across the town of Washington over to the White House. The president is headed on over to Israel. Now, if I recall, there were times the president didn't go to disaster areas because, well, he would just get in the way. A presidential visit would get in the way. This is a war zone he's going into now. I am not convinced of the innocence of this. I think it is more of a delay tactic, keep Israel from going in and really decimating things and finishing the job. But I'm pessimistic and a little jaded on the politicians, especially on the left when it comes to Israel. Jason Buttrill is with us, and he has the latest on what is happening in Israel. How come we haven't seen Israel go in? We thought we were going to see it this weekend, really go in and with troops and just go through Gaza.
I've seen a lot of people talk about how they don't think that the ground invasion is likely anymore. And that's not how I read the situation on the ground at all. This is an unprecedented situation that Israel is now in. So not only do they have the pressure campaign from the Biden administration, their top main ally, which I can only imagine. Blinken was in a meeting with Netanyahu yesterday for, 8 hours? 8 hours. What can you imagine the threats that are probably getting lobbed across the table there? They do not want this ground invasion to happen. It is a humanitarian disaster. It absolutely will be.
Good. Egypt can take care of it.
Yeah, but did you see just now the king of Jordan this morning said, speaking on behalf of Jordanians and Egypt, that allowing Palestinian refugees from Gaza is a, quote, red line. They said it is a red line, and we know what the actors on the ground would do. Gee, well, I wonder what he's talking about there, because the last time this happened was in 1970, Glenn. 1970, after the Six-Day War, they allowed tons of Palestinian refugees in from the West Bank because there was nowhere for them to go, exactly like now. What happened? Instantly, the Palestinians kicked off a civil war in Jordan and even tried to assassinate the king of Jordan. And the Jordanians had to kick them out. They had to go to Lebanon. What happened in Lebanon after that? Well, a civil war broke out in Lebanon. I mean, these are terrorists. It happens every time. The entire Arab world knows this. That's why the ground invasion has to happen. Has to. This has got to be, they have to be dismantled for good.
So what are they fearing here? Because I know they are worried about a three-front war. One from the IRGC. You think it's going to happen?
It's going to happen.
From Syria, that's Iran, the IRGC. Yes. Then you have Hezbollah from the north, which is Lebanon. Yep. And they're already there on the border, right?
They're taking pot shots. As we speak, they're taking pot shots.
And then you have Gaza. Yeah. And that is down on the south towards Egypt.
Right. And so that is why this is so complicated. What Israel has been engaged in since the terror attack happened on last Saturday is they have been doing shaping operations. So basically what that means is they're taking out units along the border. They're shaping their route of attack once they go into Gaza, which is going to be a sniper paradise in Gaza. That's going to be very deadly, the worst kind of combat there is. So even if you take 200,000 troops into Gaza, which is a relatively small place, that might not even be enough. It's going to be a very, very hard fight. But shaping operations take time. Massing troops along 3 different fronts, I mean, that's colossal. I mean, and for the IDF, Israel is a small country. I mean, we have more Jews in the United States than are actually in Israel. They just don't have the people. So it's going to take a lot of prayer. It's going to take a lot of strategy and smart thinking to pull all of this off. But just think about that in that context, how difficult that's going to be, how imperative it is for them to do this. And then you're getting the full court pressure from the Biden administration. It's insane.
I don't think Israel's going to listen to us or anybody else, are they?
I hope not.
I mean, look, here's the thing. Jews are expelled from every country, except for this one, every country they ever are in. There is always a program or a Holocaust wherever they are. Mm-hmm. They are either put into a ghetto or exterminated. That's the reason Israel exists.
Yes.
No longer do they have to have permission to defend themselves. Jews have a right to live. I know that's a crazy concept, but I have the T-shirt. Jews have a right to live. And they have a right to defend themselves, period. And if that's the way they want to defend themselves, I'm with them. I'm with them. I'm no longer buying into the bull crap that, well, they want a two-state solution. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. They had the opportunity. Multiple times, they always turn it down. They want the destruction of Israel and the Jews. Period.
But doesn't it say in the Hamas charter very specifically, we desire a two-state solution?
No, it's weird.
Oh, it doesn't?
It says just the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Allah, tell us where the Jew is hiding behind the tree or the rock so we can kill them.
Oh,
yeah. So it's got that going.
And eventually the rocks, if I'm not mistaken, are going to actually yell out, there's a Jew behind me.
Yes,
which is that's in the charter as well.
Yeah, so that's really good. So yesterday, Iran was crazy. Well, no, sorry. Crazier than they usually are.
Some of their official communications are, let's just say, getting a bit odd. Yes. Talking about, and again, this is official statements about the final battle of God is upon us. That's a little alarming. But it also shows that Israel's enemies, our enemies, see this and clearly a different, it's not just a geopolitical situation from them. It's not a humanitarian situation for them.
I don't understand how everybody in the media can look at somebody who says, I believe that America was a God-inspired place. And they go, religious zealot, they're going to kill us all. And they can listen to these clerics who say the final battle of time is here. And we will wash the world in the blood of the Israeli Holocaust. We will use the fire of the Islamic fury to wash the world in blood. And everybody's like, yeah, they don't mean it. Maybe we can give them hey, how about we build apartments for them?
Pallets of cash. Let's give them maybe that.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, and that wasn't the only communication that they were throwing out. They were also throwing out from their diplomatic channels that the state of Israel needs to heed the warnings that they have been. And this was all.
Okay, so what does that
mean
to you? As a former intel guy, what does that say to you?
Well, initially, I think that means heavy IRGC involvement. That will also mean Shiite militias. They're all throughout the Middle East doing God knows what, but they do have a plan. I think that could progress towards closing down the two straits that are in the Middle East.
That puts gas at $10 a gallon.
What is the United States' role then? Israel's not going to ask for our help militarily. They're not going to do it. They're fully capable. We don't have to intervene. We'll probably have to intervene then. What else will there be to do? I mean, all gas and oil flow stopping because Iran intervenes and does so?
Good thing we have those solar panels and those windmills, huh?
What would gas be?
At least $10.
$10 a gallon.
At least $10. I mean, in California, I don't know, $87 a gallon
in California.
But I mean,
pretty much already
it
is in California.
Yeah, it becomes, this is what Ian Fleming. I have a searchlight from the Suez Canal in my office. Don't ask me. I try to keep it quiet from my wife because every time she sees it, she's like, what the hell did you... Anyway, it's a searchlight from the Suez Canal in World War II. And it's missing the internal spinner that was created by a magician in Egypt at the request of Ian Fleming. If it wasn't for Ian Fleming, I'm not sure we would have won the war, sincerely. Ian Fleming, the guy who wrote James Bond, was a war strategist and thought outside of the box like crazy. His job, one of his jobs, was how do we make the Suez Canal disappear? Because if you bomb it or close it down, we're all done. We're done. We have to have the oil. And so his idea was, he went to a magician and said, how do we make it disappear? And he said, we can't make it disappear, but we can confuse all of the pilots. And so they had these big arc lights with this mirrored spinner inside, and they would point it at the planes as they approached, and the planes would have to veer off because the pilots would get so confused. That's why we have the Suez Canal. Now we're looking at that very scenario again. What are we going to do, magic men in Washington? What are you going to do?
Well, the Iranians figured out how to do that without blowing up the Suez, and that was them getting involved in Yemen. That was the entire. Everyone was talking about, before. I guess.
Why are we in Yemen?
Yeah, and why are the Saudis like? Let's not support the Saudis over there. Which I'm not saying to support the Saudis, but no one could figure out why is Iran getting involved with the Saudis in Yemen. It's to shut down that strait. It is right there on the border of that strait, Bab el-Mandeb, that goes directly into the Suez.
Right.
That is the reason.
We have an aircraft carrier there.
We typically do. I know that we have one in the Med and I think another one going to the Med. I think there's a Marine amphibious ready group that is nearby to respond. But the closer this gets, I would not be surprised if the Biden administration does not shut down the ground invasion. If Netanyahu says, no, we're doing this our own way. You
think Biden is going there to slow this down?
Why else would he go?
Well, show support.
Show support. Yeah. And I just don't think so. I don't see it. It feels like a full court pressure to get the Israelis to stop. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, or at least minimize what they're doing. Yeah. I don't think you're going to get them to stop.
I hope not. And, I would be fine with the Israelis saying to the president, we're a little busy right now. We want to thank you for your little gift that you brought us from, I don't know, Tiffany's. It's great. It's a bowl. We'll put it someplace and we'll never use it. But thank you for that. Goodbye. Be very nice about it, but goodbye. We've got a war to fight.